Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I am going to be making a tier list over all the different towers in Bloons Tower Defense Battles 2. To this date, my most popular video is a BTD 6 tier list I made like 2 years ago. I think it's almost exactly 2 years ago. So I'm hoping this one can be even close as successful. Now I know the game's only been out for about 9 or 10 days, and the metagame hasn't really developed much, as you'll see by the names of my tiers, but I thought it'd be a fun idea to go ahead and rank what we know so far, just because I don't think anyone has really done this yet. I also think it'd be cool to come back maybe in a couple months and see how bad this tier list is, because I know a lot's gonna change. Also, disclaimer, I'm sure future MeepGaming editing this will already put something in, but this is my opinion. The way the XP system in the game works right now, it's essentially impossible for a player to have tried all of these towers extensively, so just keep that in mind. Alright, starting off with all the tiers, let's start from the bottom up. We got the Among Us tier. This is for the towers that I truly have not played against or played with. These are the towers that I actually have no idea how to rank. There's actually only one tower I'm putting in here, but I thought it'd be worth mentioning. Next, we have the Super Monkey Fan Club. It's a long time channel joke that I absolutely hate this tower. I don't know why, but this tower bugs me, and this is our F tier equivalent. If you're in the Super Monkey Fan tier, do not use the tower. It is horrible. Next, we have the Meh tier. These are towers that aren't really good. There's no reason to use them unless they're your favorite towers, but they're not exactly horrible. It's just that there's nothing that they do that another tower cannot do better than them. In the decent tier, we have towers that are just average. This is essentially going to be my average tier. These towers usually have some quirk about them that may warrant you using them. Maybe it has a good synergy with some other towers you might be using, but you definitely won't be building your strategy around any of these towers. Next, we have the Monkey tier. These are towers that I think are really good. They enable some of the best strategies in the game to be executed. And overall, these are just good towers. You can build strategies around them. You can only use these towers and you will be successful for the most part as long as you have all balloon coverage. And in general, these are the good towers. These are the towers that are balanced, but they're still good. And I think that's the way it should be. Next, we have the tack shooter tier for obvious reasons. These are the towers that are meta defining. They're just absolutely busted, and they need to be nerfed for the sake of the game, because the way it is right now, and I'm not even gonna say spoilers or anything, the way it is right now, if you don't use a tack shooter, you don't gain trophies, and it's really sad. But anyway, let's get on with the tier list. So I'm just gonna jump right ahead to Heli. This is the one tower I actually have no idea how good it is. I haven't seen anyone play it. I haven't played it myself. I don't see any reason this would be good or bad. I actually have no idea what the Heli has in store. I think it would be honestly a crime to force this into any of the other tiers, so yeah, I'm just gonna leave this in the Among Us tier. Next up is Banana Farm. I'm gonna put Banana Farm in decent. I definitely don't think Banana Farm is as good or as dominant as it was in the original. Granted, I didn't play the original that much, but I don't think it's better than Eco. I think Eco is just generally a better way of gaining money. And right now, with all the different balloons introduced in BTD 6, like the purple balloons, the DDTs, all of that nonsense, wasting an entire tower slot on a Banana Farm when you could just be using Eco and use that tower slot for other coverage just seems like an unnecessary waste. Not to mention, a lot of games go to round 26, which is when DDTs spawn, or even further. I rarely at Ceramic Crucible get games that are a short amount of rounds, which is where the Banana Farm really excels. I promise they won't all be as long as this. I just thought I'd explain Banana Farm really quickly. Next up, we have Boomerang. I think Boomerang is an awesome tower. If not for Tack Shooter, which is just broken, and some other towers, I think Boomerang Tower is actually probably the primary mid-game tower right now, other than Tack Shooter, of course. I think it's awesome. I think it has great value and great usage. It's really good late game as well, and I just think it's an overall solid tower, and I probably will be using it once Tack Shooter's nerfed. Glue Gunner, I haven't seen anything of it, but I'm just gonna throw it in meh just because I don't see it being really good. I don't see it being horribly bad because Bloon Solver is always good, even if no one in the game has it yet. I think it'll be alright. And Glue's always been like an okay supporting tower, so might as well keep it in meh. Ace is just horrible. If you see your opponent using Ace, give yourself a pat on the back, go grab a soda because you've won that game. Ace is just horrible. There's no reason to use it. Just don't use Ace, please. Next up we have Wizard. Some people might expect me to put this higher, but I'm just going to put it at decent. I don't think the actual Wizard Tower itself is that great. Granted, not too many people have the final tiers. I think Necromancer is pretty good just because it handles purple balloons and swarm balloons pretty easily. And I do think Shimmer is a good camo option. I just think there's better alternatives. So unless your favorite tower is Wizard Tower or you just really feel like using a worse submarine, go ahead and use Wizard. Boat is a tower I'm going to be putting in Tac Shooter tier. Boat is really good. Now I think some people might disagree with me on this. I think Boat is amazing on certain maps like Basalt and even the pyramid themed one. I forgot what it's called, and the Sands of Time map. Boat can be your primary source of damage. I usually use Boat only for early game, but if you just spam destroyers, like that's more than enough to get you through a round. And we might as well do Boat's counterpart is Sub. I'm actually going to put Sub in Monkey tier, and the reason for this is because no one uses First Strike yet. I think if I were to do this tier list in maybe a week or a month, I definitely would have Sub up there because people would have unlocked all the upgrades yet, but Sub is right now, it's not quite to the broken level. Like I said, the meta right now is just get strong Tac Shooters, and reactors can help decamify balloons, as well as the reactor also completely counters purple balloons, which is very pog. Next up we have Dart Monkey. Dart Monkey's meh. I would have expected it to be higher, but just there's no reason to use Dart Monkey. Like, Tac Shooter has always felt like a Dart Monkey counterpart in all the other games to me. And with Tac Shooter being so strong, there really is no reason to use another cheap, just straight up dart tower. The only reason I don't have it in Super Monkey Fan Club is because I think it's viable. It's just using it. The only reason you'd use it is just to be, different. Village is a Monkey tier tower. I think Village in general, just supporting towers in general are just, I can't really put them as meta defining, which is what I see this top tier as meta defining, or they make an entire strategy possible. I think Village is probably my favorite support tower. It's the simplest to use. You can use it to give yourself eco. It has primary trading, which has just such great synergy with Boomerang and Tac Shooter. And of course, MIB is amazing for handling Moabs if you don't use Gwen. But like I said, if I were to put Village in S tier, I think I would have a lot of 10-year-olds after me, and I do not want 10-year-olds after me. That would not be fun. Ninja, this one makes me really sad, but Ninja's meh. I use Ninja actually quite a bit. It's one of the towers on this list I actually have a lot of experience with. It's so disappointing. Ninja has always been one of my favorites, if not my favorite tower. And in this current, with people spamming purple balloons and LEDs and all this nonsense, it's just, there's no reason to use Ninja. And I think once the sabotage ability for Ninja gets unlocked, and maybe people start experimenting with like Shinobi tactic spam, I think it'll go up a bit, like a bunch of other towers on this list. There's no real reason to use it. Sniper Monkey, I might get a lot of hate for this, but I think Sniper Monkey is an elite tower. It is definitely it might not be up to the Tac Shooter standards, but it is sure close. I've been using Sniper Monkey for a while. I originally used it just to level it up so I could have some diversity in my towers that I actually had XP for, but this tower honestly has been helping me out so much. Bouncing bullets, I'm so happy it's viable. It was so bad in BTD 6, and I always wished it would be good because I love the little animation for it, but bouncing bullets is just, it's so good in this game. I think the Sniper Monkey is actually a really underrated way of popping lead balloons. Also, the bouncing bullets, if you go the top path, so like a 2-3-0 sniper, just completely destroys any purples, any rainbows. I always have opponents underestimating it and spending a ton of capital rushing me, which just gives me a huge advantage in games. Not to mention the supply drop is really good for some extra income if you're late game. And you can even use the top path to stop DDTs. I mean, this tower I think will stick around for a long time, and I'm glad it does. Next up we have Spike Factory. Now, if you guys didn't know this, spikes from Spike's factories actually stay in Bloons Tower Defense battles games, they actually stay through rounds. So every spike factory is essentially like a perma spike, except of course not as strong, which originally seemed pretty awesome. I was really excited for that, but you start to realize how kind of useless spike factory is. Now I know spike factory was a bit popular in the original BTD battles, but there's no reason to use it, and it's so expensive, and it really is a waste. I don't see you getting any value from this tower. I actually see it harming you because you dump so much money into it, and the only value it really can bring you is maybe helping you against DDTs. But then again, just use a sniper, just use an MIB, and you'll be fine. Next up we have Super Monkey. I'm gonna put Super Monkey in decent. Of course, Super Monkey, the Super Monkey would be much higher in this list if more of the player base had its upgrades unlocked. Unfortunately, the final upgrades cost something like 250,000 XP or something ridiculous like that. Not to mention, I cannot see, unless two people decide to friendly battle, I cannot see any situation in which you have enough money to get even a tier 4 of a Super Monkey without just being able to kill your opponent instead. So that seems kind of counterintuitive to me. But other than that, Dark Knight's pretty solid. That's the only reason I have it this high. Dark Knight's pretty solid against DDTs, excuse me. But yeah, that's Super Monkey. I've always thought Super Monkey was overrated just because it is the Super Monkey. Next up we have Ice. I'm gonna put Ice in meh. I'm tempted to put it in Super Monkey Fan Club tier, but I don't believe Ice is that bad. Ice Shards plus Arctic Winds has always been an amazing combo, and I just think not enough people have tried it. I myself haven't, but I've played against it a couple times, and once again, Ice has always been a supporting tower. It's always been used for that amazing snowstorm ability that just really helps you stall out games. I think Ice, again, like some of the other towers in this list, will raise in popularity. Just right now, there's, again, no real reason to use it over some other towers. Druid's also a meh tower. Again, there's no reason to use Druid other than that it's a pretty awesome tower, one of my favorites as well. It does have pretty good balloon type coverage because it can pop leads, it can also pop purple balloons, and it does pretty good against clusters of balloons with certain upgrades. So it's a pretty versatile tower. The thing is, I just don't think it excels at anything, and it also doesn't see camos. And that tornado thing can kind of screw you over if your opponent decides to send you the amazing Rainbow Regen Rush. Next up we have Alchemist. I'm going to put Alchemist in Monkey tier. There's an argument to be made that it could be either Tack Shooter or Decent, but however, I just personally prefer Village. The Alchemist buff is nice, but this is a tower that is a pain to level up. If you didn't know, XP in this game is given based off the percentage of your total money you spent on a certain tower. And the Alchemist starts off with some pretty cheap upgrades. So this tower is just absolutely a nightmare to level up. But it is pretty good with Tack Shooter. If you have an open spot and you don't need balloon type coverage, you can just throw an Alchemist in there and it'll make your entire defense quite a bit stronger. Also, another thing to note is I think people really underestimate Alchemist, so yeah, I don't know. If you have an inexperienced opponent, then this might also help you out. Next up, we have Mortar. I'm going to put Mortar in decent. I have a little bit of bias towards Mortar. Again, one of the towers I really like, but I think that this tower has the potential to be really good, and I think that potential is enough to put it in decent, and I do think it's decent. It does get rid of all the nonsense special properties that towers have that really is the difficulty in this game, all of those weird balloon abilities. However, Mortar is a bit expensive, which is, in my opinion, what holds it back. I also think that a bunch of the maps we have right now have too many entrances and exits for Mortar to excel on most of them, so it is a really situational tower. And again, you need a ton of XP for this thing to actually become good, so yeah, that's why it's just decent. Bomb Tower is horrible. If you use Bomb Tower, just please sort it out. Don't use Bomb Tower, guys. If there's one takeaway from this video other than that Tack Shooter's broken, it's that Bomb Tower, don't use it. There is not one situation in this game that you would need to use Bomb Tower over any other tower, and in my opinion, on top of maybe Ace, I think it's the worst tower. I think Ace and Bomb Tower are pretty low down there. Next up, we have Tack Shooter, and I think I need a special place for you. You don't just belong in the Tack Shooter tier, you need something else. There, I think that should suffice. Alright, well that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed or you just want to support me on my dream of becoming an actually successful YouTuber, please consider subscribing. It really helps me out, and I try to make quality content, so yeah. Also, I live stream Bloons battles too somewhat frequently, so if you ever want to check that out, feel free to drop by. Also, if you're gonna yell at me for my horrible opinions, which is valid, at least do it in the comment section so I get a boost in the algorithm. Bye!